Hey there. If I were to go back in time, I would tell my past self two things. One is to drink more milk, and two is to buy some Bitcoin. Sunday is Bitcoin. He's not just Mr. Potential Man, he is also the greatest yapper in Star Rail. So, let's dive into Sunday's beta kit, his overall skills, playstyle, potential issues, his compatibility with certain characters, and why his stock will only go up in my opinion. Overall, is he worth pulling? Sunday is an exceptional harmony support, similar to the likes of Bronya. He is also the only one who can truly maximize the potential of characters with summon mechanics. Let's start off with his basic attack. There's nothing special here, just a regular single target attack. His skill allows him to 100% action advance one of his allies plus their summon and increase the damage dealt. This damage buff is further enhanced if the ally has a summon. His talent is also rather simple. Whoever Sunday uses his skill on will receive an additional 20% boost to the crit rate. And finally, his ult will regenerate energy for one of his allies and boost their crit damage by X%. This X% scales off of Sunday's own crit damage. This is very similar to Bronya. Now, for his three main traces. Trace 1 allows his skill to cost 0 SP with a 2-turn cooldown. Trace 2 gives Sunday a slight boost to his energy when the battle starts. And his trace number 3 dispels one debuff from whoever he uses his skill on. So what does all of this really mean for his playstyle? Long story short, Sunday is all about pulling the main damage dealer on your team with his action advance. I'm not here to put you to sleep with math equations on how speed tuning works, so just remember this mantra. Use his skill, use his ult, rinse, repeat, victory. So easy, even a caveman can do it. I say that because Sunday is very beginner friendly. His damage buffs from his skill, ult, and talent all last for 2 turns, 3 turns, and 2 turns respectively. This means you don't have to worry about managing his SP usage as much compared to the likes of Bronya, who needs to use her skill every turn to maintain her damage boost from her skill. His trace should also help lower his SP usage. While it doesn't turn him into a Platinum Plus SP battery, a 0-cost skill every 2 turns is better than nothing. Plus, his talent giving a 20% increase to allies' crit rates means we don't have to pray to a higher being for godlike relics. This is like doing only 80% of your job and still getting paid your full wage. Last but not least, his niche interaction shines with summons, but I'll talk more about that in the character compatibility section. Moving on, are there any major issues and red flags? Short answer, yes. Long answer, these are small 1-inch flags. You need to squint to see them. Sunday being an action advance support means speed tuning is somewhat required to fully min-max his potential. But for us casual gamers, it's really whatever. Sunday already offers great quality of life improvements. First of all, it is much easier to push our damage dealer to that fable 100% crit rate without relying too much on godlike relic rolls for your substats. And he's much easier to manage because his damage buffs will last for at least 2 turns, with his ult lasting 3 turns. Combine all of this with his SP related trace, it will make Sunday less SP hungry than his action advanced siblings. His second issue is probably his interaction with the rest of the team. Sunday is antisocial. All of Sunday's abilities are single targets focused. He is not an AoE support like Rame, meaning everything Sunday does is probably only going to benefit one person on your team. Even Bronya and Sparkle, whom Sunday copied his homeworks from, have some interactions that benefit the entire team. Bronya's ult and trace are AoE team buffs. Sparkle's ult regenerates SP, which will directly benefit the entire team. Sunday hyper pushes all of his Charmony Dove eggs into one basket. This drawback isn't really much of an issue because most of the time, your team will only consist of one main damage dealer anyways. So putting all your buffs into one person isn't a major concern. He will only benefit one ally at a time. But there is a slight exception to this, his skill. Because his skill's damage buff will last 2 turns, technically speaking, he could apply that buff to 2 different allies, and both allies should still have that damage buff. For example, Sunday uses his skill on Topaz. With his next action, Sunday uses his skill on Jing Yuan. At this point, Topaz and Jing Yuan have the damage boost from Sunday. Speaking of Jing Yuan, there are 3 things in life that are certain: death, taxes, and Hoyo giving Jing Yuan a buff every 2 patches. Seriously, we all need to find someone who will treat us the way Hoyo treats Jing Yuan. Sunday's best fit is going to be on summon teams, mainly Jing Yuan. And realistically speaking, there are only 2 of them right now. No, Lingsha doesn't count. Don't lie to me, you're not running damage dealer Lingsha. Let's start off with his action advance. When Sunday action advances an ally with a summon, the character gets to go first, followed by the summon. This is a very important distinction to make here. Let's use Jing Yuan to illustrate this. Since Jing Yuan gets to go before Lightning Lord, he could use his skill to give Lightning Lord additional stacks. More Lightning Lord stacks equals more damage. The top 10 status star moment is seeing Lightning Lord striking with 3 stacks. The other one is seeing your Lightning Lord peace out when Jing Yuan gets stunned, which, by the way, the cleanse on Sunday's skill could come in clutch if your Jing Yuan ever gets stunned. All of this just means at the very worst situation, Lightning Lord is probably going to be at 5 stack depending on your character's speed with Sunday. However, keep this in mind. This interaction could get changed during the beta, so do take all of this with a grain of salt. Sunday is what I call a double dipper. His ult will benefit both the ally and their summon. It will boost their crit damage by X%, scaling with Sunday's own crit damage stats. In this scenario, not only does Jing Yuan get a boost to his crit damage, Lightning Lord also gets a boost to his crit damage. For reference, one of Jing Yuan's main traits only increases Lightning Lord's crit damage by 20% at 6 stacks or higher. Sunday is pushing out 25% of his own crit damage, plus an additional 8%. Once again, with a grain of salt because, beta numbers can change. No, scratch that. Beta numbers will change. Moving on. Sunday with Jing Yuan and other summon characters are perfectly compatible. But how is Sunday like with other damage dealers? Since Sunday is a singular buff support, putting him on dot teams isn't the end of the world. But Raw Mage just does the job better by the nature of her benefits being team-wide. And let's not forget, dot teams don't really care about crit damage and crit rate. All of this just means Sunday, dot teams, not really the best match. Now, what about the hyper carries? The old grandma, imaginary dragon, what about the space criminal, just to name a few. It all comes back to that 20% crit rate boost on Sunday's talent. I just can't stop glazing how much easier relic stat rolling is going to be because of Sunday's talent. If your luck is as bad as mine when it comes to stat rolling, then you'll understand. I've been playing Star Rail since basically released, and I have yet to have a single character with a 100% crit rate, minus Xing Liu because she's kind of cheating. Not many damage dealer can say no when tempted by that fabled 100% crit rates. To get a clearer picture, let's do some quick comparison between Bronya and Sunday. First of all, both of their skill action advances and increases their allies' damage by X%. The key takeaway here is that Bronya gives a slightly higher damage boost, but Sunday can overtake her if his skill is used on a summoned character. As for the ults, there are 3 key differences here. 1. Sunday gives energy regen, while Bronya gives attack percent boost. 2. Sunday's damage buff on his ult lasts 3 turns, while Bronya's only lasts for 2 turns. And finally, 3. Sunday's ult will only benefit a single ally, while Bronya's ult is a team-wide buff. The key takeaway here comes down to what you value more for your damage dealer. I personally favor energy regen over attack percent boost, but to each their own. The point is, Sunday can replace Bronya on any of her teams, but where he truly outshines everyone is when he's teaming up with a summon character. One point that we do have to take into consideration is that Bronya is a standard character banner. This means most of us should have her, if not, then we'll eventually get her. AKA, she's free. Moving on, I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. 3.x is going to have a couple of summon-based damage dealers. Let's not pretend we don't know that's not happening. Sunday is going to be the gateway for the somewhat revamped playstyle. Just like how Topaz opened up the follow-up attack playstyle, Sunday is going to be essential for the summon playstyle. With Sunday being somewhat of a Bronya Pro Max, he will find a place with other hyper carry team comps, so Sunday will have a place for many team comps. Moving on, is Sunday worth pulling? I have basically been glazing Sunday for the last however many minutes this entire video has been going on for, so I think the answer shouldn't surprise anyone here. But answering this question objectively, okay, if you like the concept of the summon playstyle, then you will likely be pulling for Sunday now or sometime in the future. We don't know when he will rerun, so if you do skip on him now, then you run the risk of not having him when Hoyo starts shoving summon characters at us. If you're happy with your Bronya and or Sparkles, then Sunday is just another day to you. A lot of what Sunday does, Bronya and Sparkle kind of also can do, maybe to a lesser extent depending on his final numbers. With all of that said, I'm pulling for Sunday, and then I'm going to strip Bronya of all of her relics, and even her Lycone. Also, Fugue should be next, so do stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.